Well, welcome everyone to the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative information session. This is one of two info sessions that we'll be having during the application season for CEI. So if you know folks that couldn't make it today, then please let them know that there's one more coming up on September 30th. And we will be sharing the recording of this session as well in case you need to reference it again. And we'll send you a link to it right after the session today. So thank you again for being here. My name is Sethi Raval. I'm the program director for the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative. I work very closely with the other members of the Charlotte is Creative team, and I really love this program. And I'm really glad that you are here to learn a lot more about it. I'll let Tim introduce himself, and then we'll keep it going.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Miner. I'm the co founder of Charlotte is Creative and our chief creative officer, which is a big, lofty title for an organization that has five people in it, but sometimes you have to have those things. Guys, this is our signature program. If Charlotte is Creative never does another thing, which we hope that won't happen, but this we feel is the program that best befits our mission and that we've seen already make the greatest impact of anything that we do, which is to not only hand out, if you use the old adage, not, you can, there's the one, if you can give a man a fish or you can give him a fishing pole. In this program, we are handing out fish in the form of funds. We are handing out fishing poles in that we are going to give you the tools or the beginnings of tools that you'll need to treat yourself as a small business and teaching fishing lessons, which is through the course of your time with us and after. We're going to be there for you to share what we know and to put you in touch with real experts that can help you kind of move from making a little bit of money with your business to hopefully making more and more so that your creativity can provide either all of your income or a significant portion of it. And when we're done with this program, we're going to work to have connected you to resources and pointed you in the direction of where to go next. And I'm very excited that, even when you look at the Blumenthal Fellows program, many of the fellows for the last 3 years have been former CEI grads. Or we look at people who are getting mini residencies at the McCall or in other markets. Many of them are CEI graduates. And so that's our hope for you as well.
Thanks, Tim. Um, we certainly have to shout out our CEI sponsors. This program would not be possible without the support of Wells Fargo, Mecklenburg County. We get funds from the ARPA funds. Interact Studio and the Creative Lab at Do Greater are incredible partners of ours, and the National Endowment for the Arts. So we're very lucky to have their support and use every opportunity to shout them out. So, what is CEI? Many of you know this program because you've attended other Charlotte is Creative events, you've been auditing the classes. But for those of you that are new to this conversation, the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative is a 10-week cohort experience. So, what that means is that 15 creatives come together of all creative disciplines for 10 weeks to receive three essential ingredients to succeeding in Charlotte as creative entrepreneurs. One of those and one of the most important pieces of that experience is community, is the fellowship of the other cohort members and the introduction to CEI alums. By the end of 2025, we will have 100 plus alums of the CEI program. These are creatives in our community who are doing incredible work and understand that this process of being an entrepreneur can be lonely sometimes, and doing it together and sharing resources is such an enormous gift and a beautiful part of that journey. So community is a big piece of this process. In addition to that, We have 10 weeks of introductory business training classes, which we're going to go through on the next slide. But cohort members meet once a week for 2 to 3 hours to receive training on all sorts of topics that help you grow as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner. And then social capital. So, we pride ourselves on the network at Charlotte is Creative on connecting creatives to nonprofit organizations, to the business community, to other creatives where they can collaborate and receive support um, and an opportunity to grow their network. So CEI participants receive a great amount through this program, but just some of the things to highlight is that, like I mentioned, you have 10 introductory business classes, lots of opportunities to network and build that social capital, build that network of people that can support you through your journey, through collaborations, but also through services. You may need legal advice on developing a contract. You may need a bookkeeper to help you get organized. You may need some marketing advice on how to best tell your story for your small business. So these are the types of individuals that you would meet through this program. We promote all of our cohort members on Charlotte is Creative's Instagram and through the Biscuit, which is our newsletter, and through word of mouth. There are a lot of job opportunities that come across our desks that we certainly promote and encourage CEI cohort members and alums to be considered for. Again, like I mentioned, we have a really supportive and collaborative alumni network. We have seen such incredible collaborations come from alums, 2 to 3 people that are working on projects that they couldn't have even conceived before participating in this experience. Um, and then they hire each other for opportunities like, oh, you know what? I was just put up for this job. I can't do it. I'm not available, but I know someone else who can and who can deliver for you. So there's a lot of vouching for each other through this network. Um, all of our classes offer learning materials. So there's homework, there's resources, there's instructor decks, there's worksheets that is available to cohort members after each class. And then in addition to all of these amazing things, each cohort member receives a stipend for attending the class, $50 to attend each class and a $1,500 grant to invest back into their creative business. And this is really to kind of stress the importance of your time and your investment in your time as a business owner. So that is these are the key ingredients that you get by participating in this experience. Tim, feel free to come off mute anytime you want to chime in.
Sure, I'm here. Um, Obviously, if you look at the class topics, um, these do we tweak them as we go. This year we are trying out some new classes, which actually have been going great. We changed up how we started CEI because we learn from every cohort, and the cohorts help us shape them. But at a minimum, we like to cover. And these are I want to give you a caveat. You are not going to graduate school. So, as you are being introduced to concepts, ideas, and strategies that you're going to want to begin to implement, learn more about, challenge yourself to try, and then we can help point you in the direction of if there's one or more topics that you feel you need more direction on, we can start pushing you and getting and connecting you to resources that can help you there. But it's finance and budgeting, pitching and storytelling, setting goals and planning. We're really trying to get you guys to the basics. Like, how do you start a project? Because we've worked with we are creatives, and we've worked with folks enough to know that oftentimes the idea gets a hold of us, and then we jump into it and start creating, and we haven't thought, wait a minute, I actually want to make money or sell tickets or put this up for sale. And if we had stopped at the beginning and planned out a little bit, particularly on events or new product roles or new service roles, it would have helped us. Do you have the right legal contracts? Are you the right kind of a legal entity? Because that has massive implications on taxes and finances and also protecting yourself. General business communication. We are in a business town. Are you doing the work necessary to make sure you're clear, concise, that everybody knows what you're up to? Marketing and public relations with a emphasis that really, I think for the year ahead we might make that more promotions and public relations. Marketing is a big word that involves a lot. And many of our people that are in the CEI program, it's just you have an idea, product, or event. How do you promote it and get people to pay attention to it? And that we work on that. And then also down to grant writing, proposal creation, and basic networking. How do you build a network of resources and a team of people that want to champion you? All of those contribute greatly to the success. And then there's off the ball work. We'll introduce you to other seminars and activities throughout the time. We do Charlotte reciprocity circles. We do power panels. We have all sorts of events that we're going to want you to be front and center on, because all of it contributes to your learning. Sathy, you want me to take this too?
Sure.
I'd love it.
Yep.
Um, so this is a big question. Who should apply? And so this is a basic checklist: an artist or a creative with a big idea, but an idea that is marketable. Are you ready to enhance your business, small business, or entrepreneurial proficiency and build a creative business? I'm going to go back to that one. Are you the IRS defines a hobbyist as somebody who might make a little bit of money off of their creative habits, but it's really not a business. And that doesn't mean you're not proficient at what you do, but it's that, are you functioning or ready to function as a small business? That's a big question, and that's something that all CEI folks really kind of wrestle with in good ways and challenging ways throughout the class. But are you ready to grab the reins and think of yourself as a business? Are you a resident of Mecklenburg County? You must be. And I want to make a point on that. To be a cohort member and get paid to be part of CEI, you must reside in Mecklenburg County, and that is because Mecklenburg County is one of our key funders. Taxpayers in Mecklenburg County and federally contribute to it. That does not mean if you are outside of Mecklenburg County, there will be more than 50% of the classes are open for the public to attend. You just won't be a cohort member, you won't be paid, and you won't get some of the other benefits that you need. And unfortunately, being near Mecklenburg County is not enough. So if you're in Fort Mill, South Carolina, we love you and we hope to see you, but you're not a Mecklenburg County resident, and we cannot accept your application for this. And importantly, are you able to show a track record of your previous work? And this is not a qualitative thing. We're not saying hey, are you ready to hang art in the Louvre if you're an illustrator? But can you demonstrate that on the regular, you are working hard to build a creative career and build up your creative abilities? A good example of that is we had somebody a couple of years ago say, I'm working really, really hard on building my portfolio as a fashion designer. I've produced, and this was, by the way, an application in September or October, I produced 4 drawings this year. And as much as we want to encourage that person and help them, if you're serious about this, you're producing more than 4 sketches in 9 months. So we want to see that continuously you're trying new things. We can get into this in the Q&A, but here's the thing. There will be networking in this. There will be camaraderie. There will be good feelings. There will be work that we do to help you adopt, kind of push off the imposter syndrome and feel good about yourself. But at the end of the day, this program is for people that want to do the hard work to become an entrepreneur. If you're not ready to really lean hard into topics that may not excite you, like budgeting and contracts and that type of stuff, or if you are saying, I don't really like promoting myself, you may want to think about whether this program is for you, because we're looking for people that want to act like, that are ready to say, I'm an artist, but I'm a small business too. And it says this here, but if you've been a previous CEI cohort member, you are not eligible to re up on this, as much as we love you.
Yeah. So just some important dates to keep in mind. Applications are open, and in just a few minutes, I will drop the link in the chat to the application portal. Um, Applications will remain open until October 12th at 5 p.m. They will close at 5 p.m. on October 12th. We do not accept late applications. We really encourage you to apply early. There is, we go into this on the next slide, but there is a section in the application that asks for a letter of recommendation. So please do not wait for the week of October 7th, I think it is, 6th, to ask that person to write you a letter of recommendation. Give them enough time to write that letter so that you have it in hand to upload to the portal by October 12th at 5 p.m. We will be notifying selected individuals by November 21st, and probably the week after. Anyone that is not selected will be notified around that same time. So you can expect to hear from us by early December either way. And the spring session dates are January through May of 2026. In the application portal, there are some specific dates that are listed out. Classes will start in mid-January. They typically take place on Monday nights, anywhere between 5 and 8:30 p.m. Some are 2 hours, some are three. So we just want to make sure folks are available before they apply. So just please take a look at those dates. And in order to receive the grant funding, so in order to receive that $50 attendance stipend, the $1,500 grant stipend, you must attend 8 out of the 10 classes to receive that full amount.
Sathu, I'm going to add something right there, and this is not to presuppose anything about any of you, but think about this. If you're in this, if your primary concern is to get, somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 as a stipend, this is the hardest way possible for you for you to get grant dollars. The money is important, but we promise you the key to CEI are the classes and the information, the relationships that you form, and the networking that you will do. So the money is powerful, and it can make a nice impact, but this program works when you fully commit to all of it and understand that the money is really only 33% of it, that the training, the knowledge, and the relationships are just as valuable, if not more.
Thanks, Tim. So I could take a stab at this, Tim, and then you can chime in here as well. Um, so just some tips on applying. So our application portal is really straightforward. The application's available through a platform called Submittable. Again, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. It has the full list of eligibility requirements, the important dates to keep in mind, links to, future info sessions, any of that, contact information if you have questions. Um, but in addition to supplying us your name, your address, and all of those important details, we have about 4 to 5 narrative questions that we ask about who you are, what your challenges are, what your goals are for your creative business, what you plan to get out of a program like CEI, why you might be in transition mode, or what maybe you're already there, but why you're choosing to be a small business owner versus a hobbyist. These are all things that we really want to hear about. We have a panel of review committee members that change each time we have this application process to keep it fresh. And they're really eager to hear your responses. So as you're thinking through your responses, please be specific in your responses. Please be specific about what your goals are, what your challenges are, why this program is important for you in this moment. Why are you choosing now to apply to CEI? How could it make a difference? So please put that out there for us. If it's easier for you to write in narrative in paragraph form, that's totally fine. If it's easier for you to be specific and give us bullets, that's totally fine too. Please adhere to the word count, and be specific. It's really important for us to understand why it is you're applying to CEI. And what it is about the training that's important to you, what it is about building community and why that's an important piece to you, what it is about gaining more social capital and building your network. So again, just be specific as you're thinking through those responses. We also would love for you to share with us your website, portfolio, and social media. And we ask that if you do share with us your Instagram, then just make sure that it's not your personal Instagram. If you're using Instagram just for personal reasons to share family photos, that's totally fine, but you don't need to include that in the application if that's not a place where you are posting regularly about your business, your craft, and what you do. We really want our reviewers to get a good sense of who you are and your work. So anything that you upload, any links that you provide, please make sure that they just showcase your work and your breadth of work. Again, I mentioned this before, but just give yourself time to complete the application. Um, Go in there today. I challenge everyone to open up an application today, read the questions so that you can draft. The great thing about this portal is that you can save your draft and come back to it later. So you don't have to fill it all out in one go. So again, please try and visit that portal and don't wait until the last minute. Read the questions carefully, answer them fully. I know this sounds like, maybe I'm a kindergarten teacher, but we are pointing this out because it doesn't always happen. And we want you to be able to provide us with the best application because we have people in the community that are reading these, and we want you to be able to present yourself fully. And again, short answers are welcome. We have a pretty short word count, and that's really because we want you to be able to paint a realistic picture of who you are, why this program is right for you, and what you're doing out in the community.
Um, okay, let's. We just got a note in from Kelsey in the chat. I'm gonna hold that off until we get to the Q&A portion, Kelsey. So I see it. We're gonna address it, but I kind of want to just say, if you do you mind going back one more
Sure.
slide. I just have a few things to add to this, just a little bit of color. And this is practical stuff. So, along with the short answers, just remember that human beings are reading this. And so, sometimes, a big long block of copy is very difficult for people to read, especially on a screen. So, I would invite you use paragraph breaks, use bullets, all of that, and I'm going to underscore be specific. It's okay. I think when people do applications, often they feel like they've got to go big. So it's like, I'm going to change the course of Charlotte. Let's just that's probably more. If you're in a position where you need to be in CEI, changing the face of Charlotte can be a wonderful goal, but what's your goal right now? And it can be small and specific. It can be, I want next year, I want to do 3 events and I want to make $2,000 at each event. I want to make a profit of $2,000. That's a great goal. Or one, because we understand where you are. Just to what Sethu said, the great applications say, why now? What am I up to? What impact do I expect on this? And I'm also going to advise you, please avoid what we call and. You may be a musician and an illustrator and a performer and a jewelry maker. That may be very true, but for this application, pick one thing. You're going to learn, if you get selected, you're going to learn a lot that you can apply to all of those, but we want to know, what is your focus? What are you trying to accomplish with which aspect of what you do by being in this program? I would also say, on the recommendation letter, it needs to be an actual letter. That doesn't mean it has to be like a scan, but it's not, it can't be, we've had people submit Yelp reviews. Can't do that. Or, or something that's a text. We're We're not going to do that. Like, it needs to be somebody who thinks enough of you that they're going to sit down and write a letter. One page, half a page is fine. But what we're looking for too is not just people that can speak to your character, but can speak to your work ethic. I know Sethu is, I've worked with her. She's on time. She delivers, asks great questions, those types of things. Someone who really knows who you are and how you work. And that's another thing too, is just demonstrate that this is something that you devote significant amounts of time to consistently, because that says you're ready to be a business owner. You, unfortunately, once you say I'm a small business owner, look, there are times last night I did not want to work on my budgets last night, but I had to sit down on the couch and do it. It's been a long day, but that's because that's what the business required. And so show us that kind of drive. And then I would also, just last thing is to say, other than be specific, is if you know somebody in CEI, sit down with them, ask them, hey, what was the experience like? That can inform your application. And the other thing is, please do not wait to the last minute, because I promise you, if your application is not in on time, if it's even 1 minute late, it's not going to be accepted. And that is unfortunately a hard lesson that we've learned, is if you're saying I'm a small business, that means you don't show up on time, you show up early. You don't just deliver, you over deliver. And so, you know, take the time that this is due, if it's important to you, to plan, prepare, and get us what we need on time. Make the best possible case, because I promise you the competition is going to be steep.
These are, again, this is a link. Again, I'll drop this in the chat once I stop sharing my screen. But if you go to charlottescreative.com/CEI, you'll have all the information around the program, the topics, info sessions, and if you scroll down, there's a red button that says submit your application or apply now, and you can access that. Um, Again, the deadline is October 12th at 5 p.m. This is my email address, ceiprogram@charlottescreative.com. You can reach out anytime if you have questions around the application. And I think that we are ready to have a Q&A. So
Yeah. You want to start with Kelsey's question?
let's
Oh, no, let's
go.
start with
Let's go to
Trey.
actually, Shonda has a question even before Trey. Sorry,
All
Trey.
right, well, you go ahead.
Shonda, your question is, if your business is in Mecklenburg County and you own property in Mecklenburg County, does that apply? So yes, if you reside in Mecklenburg County or your business's address is in Mecklenburg County, you may apply to CEI.
Yep.
Um, Trey, for the purposes of this cohort, are representatives of nonprofits allowed to apply as defined as a business? So if you are a nonprofit organization, and you are the executive director of that
Yeah.
nonprofit organization, you may apply to CEI.
Yeah, I think we've never really encountered this, but the question kind of addresses it. Is, if you're the founder or the ED, the answer to that is please do apply. We're not, the one thing that you have to understand is there will be portions of what we go over that are not directly applicable, like, to a nonprofit. That said, some of the organizations, some of the graduates that we've had that have been the most impacted are nonprofit, founders, because that gets to our other point at Charlotte's Creative. We too are a nonprofit, but we, within the bounds of the law, we try to function as a for-profit business because we believe those are best business practices.
Yeah.
In our mind, the only difference is taxes. Other than that, we want you to make money and sustain yourself through a combination of donations and earned revenue. So yes, please do apply. But if you're like an employee of a nonprofit and you're not making direct decisions, that's a little different. But Trey, in your case, you're good to go on that.
All right. The next question
Should
is
be
Kelsey's. Yes.
yeah.
What if our business is still in the process of getting off the ground and we don't have much to show as far as creative work? Would pictures of events work? My organization does immersive Spanish lessons currently, but we want to eventually host art showcases for the BIPOC community and an immersive coffee spot.
Uh, I can look at that. I we have Kelsey. We have had people in the program that are at a fledgling stage of what they're doing. So what I would advise, I don't think we're going to say straight off, no, you can't apply. I think you need to, when we talk about you can't demonstrate your work, maybe not the work for what you're applying, but send us an understanding of how you work, right? Show that, okay, you know, we're already doing, like, we have immersive Spanish lessons already. Show us examples of how you've applied that and how you've built that aspect, and then be very, very clear on what you want to do creatively. So where you say you're going to host art showcases, go into some detail. Who's your, you've got it for the BIPOC community. Where do you have some relationships? Where would you do it? How often would you do it? Are they free or ticketed? How many artists would you support? Are you going to pay the artist for participating? Details like that that show us that you've thought through will help distinguish you. So I don't think you're ineligible off the bat, but I would say you're at a slight disadvantage because you can't show I've been doing this. But that we've had people at your stage before be excellent cohort members. So just really provide the detail and paint a vivid picture.
The next question is that we've got somebody who lives between Wisconsin and North Carolina, spending half of the year here. Would they be eligible for this program?
So I've got a question then. Are you, like, at the end of the year, are you paying taxes and I hate to put it to this, but it's like we've got to have some line of demarcation. Like, are you paying taxes in Mecklenburg County as a homeowner or a renter or employee? This
Okay.
is a really tough one. It's not one that I think we've thought through. I'll be candid and say my initial thought is no, because we consider this, we're making an investment in you, but we're also making an investment in our community. So
They pay
we
taxes in Wisconsin.
okay.
So specifically for the cohort experience, you wouldn't be eligible to apply. However, I do want to emphasize the classes that are available for audit, and we actually have 4 or 5 more classes this fall that are open for audit. So if you happen to be in Charlotte, this fall, then I encourage you to attend these classes. And by audit, I mean that they are available for anyone in the community to come and take part and sit in and listen in on this training. So we find that those tend to be some of the most impactful pieces of this program, and we want to make those available to the community at large.
Yeah, I would say that to anybody here that's applying, because we do pay attention. It's not. It might just push you over the top, but like do participate, show up. Like, this is just one of the many programs that we do, and so while we don't have grants affiliated with many of the other programs that we do, we work hard to create relationships. So I would say give it a test drive. There are lots of classes you can go to this fall or the spring, and there are many examples of CEI cohort members that came and attended 3, 4, 5, 6 classes, determined it was for them, and then applied again. So, just because you pay taxes in Wisconsin, that does not mean we can't be friends. It just means that this one out of the 10 programs that we do, you're ineligible for.
The next question is, what if you are not a nonprofit? Maybe if you, I'm not reading this correctly, but I think I know what you're getting at. If you're not officially a nonprofit or for profit, but an individual trying to start a nonprofit, and
Uh, is it Jarrell?
yeah,
Jarrell, can you come off mute for a moment so I can ask you a question? All right.
there he is.
Uh, so my question would be, are you are you currently a working creative, and is it a creative or an arts and culture nonprofit that you're looking to start?
Uh, I am looking to start, I guess it'd be teaching like art to the disabled community. So I do want to start a nonprofit doing that.
All right, gotcha. Are you currently doing any of that work that and you're getting paid to do it?
I will start next summer. I did like a small program beforehand, but nothing like on a grand scale.
Doesn't matter about grand scale in our mind. You're doing the work. Here's the thing: you technically today you're a for profit. Like you could go out and and uh, and charge people for your services. That's fine. And that so you are that if anything you but I would again paint a very vivid picture um, of what you want to build because it is difficult to evaluate what you will do. I will say that CEI benefits people the most if they've already got a toe in the water. I think there's some concepts and some ideas that we teach that may be difficult if you have no experience either doing what you're applying for or in doing anything where you're kind of making product or putting services out there. So we can have an offline conversation if you like, but it's you're welcome to apply, but you're going to have to really paint that picture of why now
Mhm.
are and demonstrate that you are ready to embrace treating either yourself or your nonprofit as a business.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
The next question is this program geared to creatives that deliver products? My work focuses on process. I'm a creative expression and therapeutic arts facilitator since 2020.
I I think maybe what we have here is a difference of syntax. So no, you do not have to produce a product. There an artistic or creative service is I mean at the end of the day, I think it's a difference. What you're calling a product is a physical product, and then what you do is a service based product. I think the greater line of demarcation is are you going to feel comfortable, like is it something that can be monetized, like because we're trying to teach folks to that can be granted, or they could also go out and be paid in the private sector to do either their core work or related work. But no, if you're doing like therapeutic arts facilitator, that's perfectly fine.
The next question is around the question in the application around measurable goals and giving an example of that. I'll add, we can talk a little bit about SMART goals, but in the application, if you look under that question, there is an entire Creative Convo, which is a online class that we held around SMART goals. And I definitely encourage you, if you haven't had gone through a process of creating measurable goals for yourself, I highly recommend watching that video. It goes through an entire process of what it means to have a measurable goal. And we just had last week's class on project management was open for audit, and Melissa did go through SMART goals. So I certainly recommend looking at that link. And there's also a deck that you can follow that's on our resources page. So if you just go to that right under that question, you'll see a link. And if you don't see that, Biana, just send a text over here and I can help you find
I,
that.
I would say in common language too. It's it's a difference between people will say, "I want to do better," or "I I want to engage more people." It's different when you say, "I currently have 10 people coming to my events and I want to increase that to 100." So it's that kind of work. It's like, please do not speak in generalities. I think that gets back to specificity, and it doesn't have
Specificity.
to be big.
Mhm.
Don't please do not interpret that as you say, well, I have 10 people coming to my events and now I want it to be 10,000. If you go from 10 to 50, that's increasing your audience size 5 times. So it doesn't have to be a giant number, but specifics really, really help us understand that you understand, what you're trying to do. Being vague is not your friend in this application.
The next question is around class schedule. So yes, if you are selected to participate in the cohort, then you will receive a detailed schedule and calendar of what the classes look like and when they take place and where to go and what to bring. For any classes that you're interested in auditing this year, I will drop a link in the chat in just a few minutes.
But it will
Per-
always be that will always be available on the CEI webpage on our site.
yeah.
I can take the next one. How would the classes benefit a food vendor? Um, we have had some. It's this program is not set up primarily for culinary folks, but on occasion we've had people that write such a compelling application that we're like, great, let's put them in, and they've been some of the best cohort members we've had. Um, Understand that there is nothing in this program that is specific to any one craft. So when you're talking about consumer perspectives, I'm not entirely sure, and you can come off your off mute if you want to explain what that is. But we are not going to craft. Uh, we're not going to craft anything that's specific to your industry. So it's just general, basic, foundational tenets of promotions and um, and promotions and marketing and getting word out. It's not. Um, we don't have enough time with you to go into great detail or specific industries. Sorry, I hope that answered your question. Um, you want me to move on? Say it, you.
Yeah, sorry, I was just putting the link in the chat. Here we go.
Shonda asked, "Does a sole proprietor need a nonprofit partner?" Absolutely not. This program is for individuals, for-profit businesses, small for-profit businesses, and nonprofits. You do not need a fiscal sponsor to be in this program.
The next question is, does coaching fall under as creative? Can you be a certified coach and wants to include instructional design into their business content offered?
I'm going to be unpopular here. No, unless you make a very compelling case that this is, I mean, primarily this is designed to help artists and creatives. And we have a pretty broad definition there, but just so you know, like if it's things like we have not we have not included traditional forms of wellness like yoga or Reiki, and in this case, being a coach. If you're doing coaching that incorporates art into the coaching process, that's different. But if you are, say, a certified life coach, which is a valid, wonderful, incredible program, and we even have members of our team whose family are coaches, that's not something I think that's going to rise to the top with this particular program.
The next question is, are classes held in the same location usually, and what part of town?
They are, unless we make a change, we host our classes at Shiloh Institutional Baptist Church in their basement. The Do Greater Foundation has their creative lab there. That is it just outside of Uptown. It's west-ish Charlotte, and it's in the if you know where the Pauline Tea Bar and Apothecary, it's a block away from that, and it's in the Camp Green neighborhood.
The next question is, what criteria standards do we have that creates the compelling part of telling our stories for us to have in mind when applying? So, I when I think about that question and when we review these applications, when our reviewers review, the things that they are really compelled by are the personal stories and the why. Your why as to one, why this creative discipline and why now in terms of growing as a creative business. So I think be personal. As Tim said, the people that are reviewing these applications are humans. Tell your story. Um, and just be specific as to why this is an experience that you want to be a part of and maybe why you're having these challenges. Be honest and say, I'm challenging with networking because I'm being challenged currently around managing my time because I'm juggling a lot of different projects and this is why I'm doing that. So I think be honest and be specific and be personal.
Um, yeah, I would just again that gets back to specificity. Like, don't this is not a creative writing exercise. You don't really want the reviewers to wonder. Like, you really want them to understand what's your current situation, who do you serve, what are you trying to do, make it tangible. Time spent maybe putting in where you would put in adjectives is good. Just you want. I would. Here's what I would say: take it to someone who doesn't know you and know what you do that well, and see if they understand. Like, when you're writing it, show it to them, and if they can tell you back who you are and what you do, then you've got a compelling one. If they're like, I'm not quite sure what this is about, or I don't know, and I'm, by the way, don't have your mother or your best friend or your spouse read your application. Find someone who's going to shoot it to you straight, but don't make the reviewers wonder or be confused about what you want. Be direct, be honest, and I would say also be vulnerable. If you got burned on a contract, like somebody didn't pay you because you never had a contract in place, tell us that story, because that's exactly why you need this class. And we've had graduates who, through this class, created a contract, started using this, and that protected them from people that didn't want to pay them. So tell us the why in specific.
The next question is, as a visual brand designer, a lot of my work is shown through my designs as they are used by my clients or organizations. Would this discipline be considered appropriate for the application?
Yeah, 100%. You're a graphic
Yeah.
designer. That counts.
Yep.
And it does. I just want to underscore, if you're ineligible for this grant, it does not mean that your work is invalid. It just means that we have a particular mission in our organization. We were given funds for a reason, and we have to have a cutoff point at some point. And I would say, if you get frustrated and you're like, hey, I wish I were eligible for this, we are caring people, so we'll try to point you in the direction of some services that could help you or a better fit for what you do. But I would say 9.5 times out of 10, we're not kicking applications out because they're not, because they're not worthy. It's just, I think, art, and it doesn't have to be traditional arts, but it does have to be creative.
That's the end of the questions in the chat. Anybody wants to raise their hand, come off mute, and ask a question? Okay. Well, we certainly, I'm going to drop my Charlotte is Creative, my email in the chat. So if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. And I also dropped the direct link to the application in there as well. And you'll receive a follow-up email with all of these links and a recording. But we're so grateful that you took the time to come to an info session. I mean, that's step one of
Yes.
showing up and understanding, whether this opportunity is right for you and asking the right questions. So thank you for being here. Again, we encourage you to audit classes this fall. Come out. We have a couple more events that are being scheduled. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any
Yeah.
additional questions. And thank you.